G'day guys, welcome back to Griffos Garage. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I hope everyone's had a good break, time off, downtime, not working, enjoying time with their family and loved ones, and just chilling out basically. So I hope you had a good break. I definitely had a good break. You know, I am ready to get back into some projects, but before I get back into some of these projects, I thought I'd come to the shed and sort it out. And before I come back to the shed and sort it out, I thought I'd give you guys just a quick look at this. Just a quick visual of how quickly this place can become overrun with just not junk, just bits and pieces that you don't want in the house. You just put in the shed, out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. One day I'll get to it and sort it out, you know, like this stuff, you know, Christmas decorations. It's as simple as just putting it on the shelf on the racking that I've got up here. But anyway, enough about that. The reason I'm here is because before I get stuck back into my projects, I want to clean up the shed. Before I clean up the shed, I thought I'd give you guys a couple of tips, tricks, experience, you know, a handful of do's and don'ts before you get stuck into your project. So tip number one, this is probably the one thing that I've gotten right so far, is make sure you have a dedicated workspace to conduct your projects. Yeah, make sure you've got room for your projects before you start pulling it down, because you know, a car can take up a lot of space in a short period of time. If you dig in, you pull an engine out, you pull a gearbox out, you pull the interior out, you pull the rear end out, and before you know it, you've got two project cars that don't run. You've started an engine swap on, you started an EFI conversions, and you have a house to renovate. So that's step number one. Make sure that you have a dedicated space for your projects. Tip number two, make sure that you keep your workspace clean and tidy. This is one that I do not do very well. I am very bad for throwing everything in the shed, closing the shed door, and worrying about it next time I come down to the shed to work on projects. So that's tip number two. Make sure that you keep your area clean and tidy, yeah? Make sure that your tools, go away. It's as simple as that. Make sure that your tools just go away in a drawer, store it somewhere. Don't just leave it on the workbench for next time when you don't need it and it's in the way. Tip number three, make sure you set a goal. Make sure you set a goal. Make sure you give yourself a time frame, yeah? As I said, don't go strip a complete car down to a bare shell and have no idea what you're doing, how you're going to go about the project, what you actually want to accomplish. Yeah, make sure you know what you want to accomplish. Yeah, don't strip a car down to nothing and then say, oh, I'm going to do an LS swap on that. Make sure you have a plan and make sure you stick to that plan. Now, step number four is a tricky one. Yeah, set a budget. I could not honestly tell you how much money I've spent on cars in the past. Not these cars, just cars in general in the past. I'm very bad at keeping a track of how much money I spend on cars. Even the house renovations. I couldn't tell you exactly how much money I've spent on house renovations since I've lived here. So that's a quite important one. Number four, keep track of your budget and stick to that budget. This one, tip number five, goes hand in hand with budget. Make sure you do your research. You don't want to go and buy parts 2, 3, 4 times because the ones that you've already bought don't suit what you want to do. Yeah, that's very important. Otherwise you end up like me with shelves full of parts that you don't use, that you can't use, that aren't going to work. So it's very important as well. Tip number five, do your research and plan. Make sure you do your planning before anything. Yeah, so that's an important one as well. So tip number six is make sure that you dedicate time to your projects. Yeah, your projects are not going to finish themselves. Make sure that you set time aside, whether it be at night time after work when the family's gone to bed, in the mornings, early mornings when the family's still asleep, you know, before you go to work. Make sure that you set times to work on your projects, otherwise they will not get done and they will sit in a shed for years, or they will sit in your yard for years and rust away and never get done. And this is what I'm talking about, yeah? Organisation. You need to be organised in a clean and tidy space, yeah? You need to be organised, otherwise your projects aren't going to get done. You're going to come to the shed every time to work on your projects and you're going to be cleaning up, tidying up, yeah? So make sure that you plan time for your projects, otherwise they won't get done. Simple as that. Trust me when I say you want to plan time, yeah? You do not want project cars half finished, half pulled apart, and you also don't want to be like me with a house that needs renovating, half pulled apart, half done. Okay, make sure you do your planning. Make sure you set time aside to do your projects, otherwise they won't get done. Simple as that. Now, tip number 7 is more for people looking to get into building projects, yeah? Don't go and blow the budget on tools and workshop equipment, on all the fancy Milwaukee gear, yeah? All the fancy Snap-on gear, yeah? You do not need expensive tools to work on cars, okay? It's very important because you always see people, Instagram, Facebook, all that, using expensive tooling, okay? You do not need to spend $1 million on tools and equipment to get your project where you want it to be, okay? Start small. Start with your basic hand tools, spanners, sockets, you know, screwdrivers, pliers, just a small toolbox, and then build yourself up from there, yeah? You don't need every single cordless Milwaukee tool there is on the shelf, okay? One thing I learned is start cheap, start small, and then as you slowly progress, that's when you buy the good stuff, yeah? So it's only recently that I've actually started purchasing Milwaukee equipment, yeah? Before then I just used basic hand tools. I didn't even have a cordless rattle gun, okay? So I know times have changed in the last 10 years since I was on the tools before, but you know, they are cheap enough that you can buy a cheap one, but it's, in my opinion, it's not one of the main tools that you need in your toolbox, okay? So talk to your friends, talk to your buddies that work on cars, yeah? So your basic hand tools, jacks, you know, you don't need $1,000 low profile king chrome jack that can do, you know, all your load cars, all your four-wheel drives. You just need something cheap. You can buy a small trolley jack, you can buy a couple of stands, safety stands, because make sure you use your safety stands when you are using a jack and working underneath the vehicle. So but yeah, don't blow the bank on tools and workshop equipment. It's as simple as that. I don't know what else to say. Don't do it. You don't need to do it, okay? Your project's not going to be a better result because you did it with Snap-on gear than with, I don't know, Tool Pro or something like that, you know? So don't blow the budget on tools. Save it for car parts. Tip number 7 is very important. Never lose sight of your end goal, yeah? Whether your goal be to put some lowering springs and some nice wheels on your car, or whether your end goal be to do an LS swap with a 6-speed manual transmission and a 9-inch rear end and coilovers all around and big brakes and a couple of turbos maybe one day, yeah? It doesn't matter what your goal is, big, small, anything in between. Never lose sight of the end goal, yeah? Just keep chipping away, small goals at a time, small goals at a time, small goals at a time, yeah? So never lose sight of the end goal. And last but not least, make sure you're always safe when you work on projects. Make sure you use your PPE. I know it's not cool to wear safety glasses or hearing protection or face shields when using grinders or stuff like that. Make sure you stay safe. Make sure you have fun. Yeah, that's the main reason people play with cars. Yeah, not just cars, any project. Make sure you have fun. Make sure you're safe. Make sure you know what you're capable of doing. okay? Make sure you work within your knowledge, within your skills. If you don't know, ask who knows, yeah? I know my limits. I'm not gonna cut a chassis in half, weld it back together, and then put it down the drag strip. There is no way I would even drive a car that I've welded on structurally, yeah? I know how to do small welding jobs, but there is no way I would be doing that, okay? So I know my limits. Make sure you know your limits when it comes to working on cars. Another thing, if you are going to buy cordless gear, yeah, make sure that you put your batteries on charge. It's pointless having all these batteries lying around if they're not charged, because you're going to come down to the shed and use them and they're going to be dead. Simple as that. Another thing, if you live in North Queensland, if you live anywhere tropical, if you work on cars in summer, make sure you stay hydrated, yeah? It's always good to leave your bottles of water on a hot workbench and not in the fridge, okay? Because I'm going to be thirsty soon, and those waters are not going to do anything for me. Hot, fizzy water, awesome, yuck, thanks. Let's put them in the fridge. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks for stopping in. If you're an existing viewer, an existing subscriber, I do appreciate you. If you're a new viewer, if you're a new subscriber, thank you for coming to the channel. I do appreciate each and every one of you that comes to the channel. I hope you sort of got a laugh out of this video. It's half serious, half joking around, making fun of myself because of the state that this shed has turned into. But I thought I'd just give you guys a quick rundown from personal experience of do's and don'ts when it comes to working on cars, starting projects, and just having fun in the shed. So anyway, thanks for stopping in, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers, bye.